Hi, everyone. This is Rob Taylor. Thanks for having me today for the conference. It's wonderful to be here. As usual, I'll be talking today about what's new and what's next in the REDCap software. All right. So, like usual, I'll talk about some of the great new features that my team and I have been working on over the past year. And then we'll get into some of the really fun stuff that we're working on here for the future. Some brand new, fun, and exciting features that will be coming relatively soon. But first, looking back into the past, we've had some big updates for MyCap over the past year. As many of you remember, several years ago, we integrated MyCap into REDCap officially. It was a separate part as an external module. It had its own mobile app for iOS and Android, and we brought those in, and we actually did a refurbishment there. So we got brand new mobile apps for iOS and Android, rebuilt from the ground up. So they're nice and shiny and new and have even more features than ever before. They now can work with longitudinal and repeating instance functionality in REDCap projects. So that's a great addition there. That means MyCap can work with pretty much any project type now. We even added internationalization and integration with multi-language management in REDCap. So when participants are opening the app, they can be prompted to view it in more than a dozen languages right now. And you can fully connect it with MLM if you're using multi-language management in your REDCap projects. Those can connect, and so those get uploaded into the mobile app for MyCap, and your participants can choose the language and view all the questions and the tasks in the language that they prefer. So it makes it a lot more useful and flexible. So lots of improvements for MyCap over the past year. We also really improved e-consent in REDCap. We added multi-person, multi-signature e-consent with improved consent form versioning. So a big step up. We've had e-consent for, I think, since 2018. The e-consent framework came out then. And since 2018, we've had more than 7 million participants perform informed consent through the e-consent framework in REDCap. 7 million, which is a uh, kind of astonishing, but yeah, it's more popular than ever before, and it's really taken off, and it's gonna get even more popular. But it's been kind of limited, as good as it was. So what we did is we changed things up and added some awesome new features to this, so that now people can use it in different ways and really extended it for multiple use cases, which I'll talk about here in a second. So here's the new user interface. If you haven't seen it yet, we consolidated a lot of the features into its own page for eConsent. It was on the survey settings page, and now we've merged it together here on its own page in the online designer, along with a new feature called PDF snapshots. So they go together quite well, eConsent and PDF snapshots. eConsent, you're still able to do the same stuff. You're still able to enable eConsent on a given survey, but you can set up the settings just like you could before, but we've got some more settings available, and including this built-in ability to add consent forms. So before we had this feature, users were just kind of having to figure out for themselves how to do the consent, putting the consent form on a survey. What if you have multiple languages or multiple data access groups using branching logic? It could get very complicated trying to deal with consent forms and multiple consents for different groups taking the survey. Or you have to like build different surveys for different languages or DAGs. So now you don't have to worry about that. You can actually add them here. You can specify if it's in it. This is for a specific DAG. If you get like a multi-site trial, if it's a specific language, you can specify that too. And you can specify the consent form version, which is really important. So it actually helps you keep and manage your consent form versions for each of these. And it makes it really nice. So that way you don't really have to worry too much about, the branching logic and all this fancy stuff. If you're dealing with languages or DAGs, you just know you set it up here, and whenever the participant takes the survey, they're always going to get the correct consent form that's appropriate for them. So it really makes it easy to just kind of set it and forget it, as they say. So that's a great feature. We also added these PDF snapshots as like a generalized feature. We really had these before in REDCap, but we just never gave them this name before, but we're calling them PDF snapshots. So eConsent has really always had this, where it's, storing the PDF of the signed consent in the file repository, but we really extended it to generalize it where you can really use it for anything. It's kind of like you're building alerts in REDCap, but instead of sending emails, you're saving PDFs. You can set up your trigger logic, whether it's based on a form or survey being completed or based on some logic becoming true. You can set that and you can tell it, what all is going to go in that snapshot. What's the scope? How many forms, how many events for the current record are going to go in there? And then tell it, where do you want to save the snapshot? Do you want to save it in the file repository? Do you want to save it to a file upload field? And you can build as many of these as you want to. It really makes it nice so that you're storing these exactly how you want. And it makes it easy to do multi-signature stuff. So if you have, like, say, e-consent with the participant, you get their signature and their consent. But what if you have a scenario where you have a clinician or a study coordinator that's going to come in and maybe they need to provide their signature also on top of that. So a way you could set this up, get your e-consent survey, participant completes the survey. You can set up an alert so it triggers the study coordinator. Study coordinator gets that alert, is able to click a link to go to the form where they can provide their signature there. And once they provide their signature, that will trigger a PDF snapshot to store that in the file repository or to a file upload field. Let's assume a file upload field also here. And then maybe that can trigger another alert that will then send an alert, an email back to the participant with their signature and the study coordinator signature together in the same PDF. So that's just one example of a million of scenarios that you could come up with for really building it to work with a multi-signature scenarios. You might have two people, you might have four people that need to give their signatures. Maybe it's in a specific order. I think all the features are here to allow you to do that with alerts and trigger logic and PDF snapshots and e-consent. It's like Lego blocks. You got to know the features, and if you know the features, you can really build anything you want to with this to make it super flexible. So it's very powerful. So check out e-consent and PDF snapshots. We also added a great feature called the bulk record delete. So that's accessible on the other functionality page from the project setup or from the record status dashboard. So you can use this page to delete a bunch of records at once, but be careful, this is permanent and irreversible, but it's really useful if you need to delete a whole lot, but you don't want to do it individually. There are ways in REDCap to delete records, but it takes a long time to do it individually. Here you can actually pull up a list and select a bunch. You can do like a search feature if they all begin with like the same first few letters or characters. You can search that way and then select all of those all at once. Or if you already have a list, maybe you've copied a list from like a data export or a report, you can just copy those record names and paste them into this page as well, and it will auto select those to be deleted. So that way, it's makes it easy if you need to delete hundreds or even thousands of records just in a single whim. But be careful, it is permanent. So do remember that, but very cool feature. Another cool feature we've added is called draft preview mode. Draft preview is really powerful and useful when you're in production and you're in draft mode. So we've had draft mode for like 10 or 15 years in REDCap, a long time. But one limitation of draft mode is that you couldn't really view your calculations. Like if you're making modifications to calculations or branching logic or even field embedding or action tags, there's no way to view that in real time up until now. So you could do that when you're in development, but when you're in production, unfortunately, the draft mode just doesn't allow it. So now we have draft preview mode, and you can use that so that whenever you enable it there in the online designer, it actually simulates live data entry. So if you've made drafted changes already on your forms, you've modified your fields, your branching logic, your calculations, your field embedding, action tags, all that stuff, even form display logic. you will be able to go onto the data entry forms and view what it looks like. You're able to view your drafted changes in real time as if they were approved already, even though they're not approved yet. So that's the cool thing about that. You can even enter data, and it does let you know that the data is a transient, it's ephemeral, it's not saved permanently while you're in draft preview mode. So it allows you to really test out fully the data entry experience. There are some limitations as they're listed right here, but yeah, it's a super useful feature, and I hope you're checking it out. Another great feature we added is descriptive pop-ups. So if you need a way to display some text like in a little bubble on the page, like for surveys or data entry forms, you can do that now. You can define it there on its own page in the online designer. You just set up the link text, and it will look for any text that matches that right there on the page. And then it will give you a little pop-up. So that way, if you hover over that text, it will give you that custom text that you've defined to appear in that pop-up, which makes it really useful. If you don't want to display like all this information just on the page, it can make the page very long and maybe make it a little unwieldy. So you can do this where you can stick a lot of this information, like abbreviations, acronyms, clinical information, other things that, might be useful at some point, but maybe aren't always useful to just be displaying all the time on the page. So this is a really cool feature. You can add this as many times as you want to on a survey or a data entry form with different words or phrases. And yeah, it can be really, really nice to add there to make it easier for data entry. Randomization 2.0 was another great feature that we've added in the past year. Kind of like e-consent, randomization has been around for a long time. Actually, randomization has been around for probably about 12 or 13 years now. And it was great, and it's been super useful for a lot of people using it for randomized clinical trials and even other purposes. But we really wanted to extend it and add some more functionality. We felt it was about time. So we added some great new features to the randomization feature in REDCap. Some of the features are being able to do multiple randomizations in a project. So you might actually have a scenario where you want to do like randomizing individual records multiple times, maybe 2 or 3 times. Previously, you could only do it once in a project for a record, but now you can set it up as many randomization schemes as you want to. It doesn't have to be like all the same records. You could set up some for one arm and some randomization schemes for another arm if you really want to, or you can set it all up just to do multiple randomizations on single records, individual records. So that's pretty powerful in and of itself. We also have blinded/concealed randomization now. So previously there was no way to conceal or randomize things just very easily without kind of working really hard to do it. But now you can actually use blinded randomization. So even the person that's doing the data entry and performing the randomization there on the data entry form, they'll be blinded as well, so that they are not aware of which group that the participant has been randomized into. It's really nice. And we also have some new smart variables and an API method, so you can even randomize a record using just an API call. And also, we added the ability to do a real-time trigger logic for randomization. So you can just set it and forget it. And you can set up your trigger logic so that way it doesn't have to be somebody clicking that randomization button on the form anymore. You can set it to where if you're not wanting to click that button, so long as the logic becomes true, somebody saves a data entry form or even a survey, you can even set it up to where survey participants can trigger the logic. And once that logic becomes true, REDCap will automatically randomize that record based on that criteria. So it really does make it easy to randomize people. So that way, if you want it to be more automated, this is a way to do it. And it's very, very powerful. So check out the new features in randomization. We've also been working hard to add artificial intelligence to REDCap through several different features, just to really make make the lives of users just a little bit easier. One of which, so we got three new features. One are the writing tools. So if you're ever using like the rich text editor in REDCap, you now have this option right here with a little magic wand. So everywhere you can see that rich text editor, you can click that, and it's going to open this little pop-up right here where you can really smooth your text. You can fix the grammar, adjust the reading level, make it higher or lower reading level, change the length if you want to, or can make it shorter, summarize it more, or make it a little bit longer. You can change the tone to be more casual or more professional if you want to. You can even write your own prompt. You can even say, translate this to French, or translate this to Spanish, or translate this to English, or, basically anything you want. It's just going to tell the AI what you want to do with that text, and it will come back to you with that. So it's really useful in those cases just to have those writing tools to massage the text or come up with just new text if you don't have any yet. We also added data summarization features for reports. So now you can use this on any given report. Just clicking that little magic wand on the page. You can select multiple fields or just do it one at a time. It gives you this little pop-up where you can, tell it, okay, here's the prompt that I want to send, summarize this information. So if you have a lot of text data, like free-form text, this is going to be super useful because that's the hard thing. REDCap does a good job of allowing you to have tools for mathematical calculations and charts and plots. But dealing with free-form text is still really hard because it takes a lot of work. But AI can deal with that pretty easily. If you want to summarize the text or distill a bunch of text in a report down to basic concepts and things like that. So that's another great useful tool there with AI. We're also using it for multi-language management. So if you're using MLM and you need just a quick way to translate all your phrases, this can be a really big time saver or money saver because sometimes you have to pay people to perform the translations. This is a good way to do it. It's not always going to be perfect, so always make sure you have someone that maybe can just spot check it, just double check it to make sure it's mostly correct because you never know. But it can be a big time saver just to get a lot of the work done instead of having to do it all, by hand. All right, so that's some of the bigger features we added over the past year. That's definitely not all the features, um, but we're going to look at a couple new features that are coming soon in REDCap, so we'll take a look at those. Speaking on AI, we're still thinking about ways of extending REDCap and AI usage in REDCap. So one thing we're really thinking about that I don't have shown here, but one thing is thinking about a chat bot. Wouldn't it be cool if we had like a chat bot inside REDCap where you could ask things about REDCap or maybe even ask things about the current study and documents. You could upload some documents there as well. And here we're also thinking about what if you could upload documents into REDCap like participants or users that are uploading text or images, PDFs, any of those, and then REDCap could automatically analyze that and extract some text, extract it into some text and save it into like a text field. Like maybe it's image processing. You can tell it, analyze this image and tell me yada 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 about the image, and it can save that into like a text field, or maybe it's a PDF. Maybe it comes from like a clinical record, like a patient's record. And whenever it's uploaded, you want REDCap to automatically, extract all the diagnoses out of or other kind of clinical concepts that you really want to save. And so that could be something that you could automate. Maybe we could add this where it's done in real time on a data entry form or a survey. Maybe it could also be done through data imports as well. We think it could be really, really powerful just to have that real time, taking a file or text and then using, AI to extract something out of it to produce another piece of text. Another cool feature we're thinking about adding is this integration with Tango. Tango is a gift card API service. It's very popular, and we've been partnering with Tango to really make it easy for people to use gift cards in REDCap. People have been using gift cards for a long time. like for participant compensation, like for clinical research and clinical trials. Oftentimes people are using, gift cards to incentivize people to participate in research. But sometimes it's just a bit difficult. It's a bit time consuming. It's a lot of work to deal with that. So we're trying to streamline that a lot to make it a whole lot better by integrating it directly into REDCap. That way we're using this API to connect with Tango, so that we can really distill it down and make it so much easier and faster. It shouldn't be too hard for people. When you're dealing with this stuff, we can make it better. So we've been thinking about this pretty hard, working with our own finance team here at Vanderbilt and thinking about all the important concepts and the steps and the approvals that are needed. There's a whole lot to consider here, but when you're dealing with, finances and money and giving out money in this way. But we've been working hard on this user interface where you can connect it to your Tango account. You probably have maybe an institution level Tango account, and you can connect it there and maybe have a different project connected to your campaign or your group at your institution. And then you can set it up and turn it on in your REDCap project so that you can keep track of your participants. You can manage different rewards. You'll be able to choose of different reward packages and different monetary types. Like if you want like a $20 gift card, if somebody completes one survey, for example, they could get like a $20 gift card. If they can complete 3 surveys, they could get a $50 gift card or both. So you can set it up that way. You can set up your logic so that you can find out who is eligible, your eligibility logic there. And so that way REDCap will tell you who's eligible for this, and then there will be a process where you can go through to review that and then grant the participants, the ability to get that gift card. So that way someone can review it for eligibility, then give the financial authorization, then the compensation delivery through email. It'll send them a link with their reward so they can get their little reward approval link. And they can go in there and they can choose whichever product they want. Maybe it's a combination of different things like Starbucks gift cards or any kind of restaurant gift card or other thing that's available. In some cases, it might actually be an option to get like a Visa gift card as well. So that really depends on your institution. So it's going to be pretty powerful to make this easy. It's got lots of logging, lots of features, and even lots of different permission levels here so that everyone can have the appropriate rights access, whether it's your REDCap admins or your study team or your finance department at your institution or in your department. So everyone can have the appropriate rights to do whatever they need to do to follow your institutional policy. We're thinking about all that. So this is something we're still working on, and we're doing a pilot study here right now at Vanderbilt. Yeah, we're pretty excited about this feature that will be coming later on this year, maybe this summer. Well, we'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, we're pretty excited about this and some other features that I don't have time to talk about today. So stay tuned, stay on REDCap Community, and join some of our various calls that we have each month or each week to check out what is coming soon, because we're always making announcements about new features there on REDCap Community. So thanks for having me again today. It's been a pleasure being here, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks, everyone.